I started playing guitar, and that's been my instrument of choice, and I love it, and it's great. And I guess it's like whatever instrument you play, just try to release yourself and let that magic open up. To me, it doesn't get much better than that simple, straight-ahead, pure tone that usually comes from older tube amps. I think it largely because the concept and the circuitry was pretty simple, so what you get is a real immediate, beautiful, uncomplicated sound. We started talking about this blues cube concept and technology, which has kind of been evolving over the years. And I think that a lot of the criteria and the vision is to capture some of that magic that's happening in older amplifiers. You plug in these tone capsules to dictate to it how that analog nature of that amp might react.
The tone capsule attaches the amplifier the body of the chassis, much like a tube does. So you kind of get your little tube fix a little bit anyways, It looks kind of like a tube, and it's very simple. You just plug it into a little spot in the back underneath, and if you look at it, it kind of looks like a tube that glows. What we did when we analyzed Eric's amplifiers, we set up one of his main 100-watt tube heads particularly the one he used to record Cliffs of Dover. We also listened to the response of the amplifier and the initial tack of the tone to the compression of the tone, and applied that information to modify the tone capsule for the proper response. And that began our shaping. The initial shape of the sound really started from, I believe, from the actual amplifier, which was fascinating to watch. I thought it was a really ingenious way of doing it.
We're able to work with the engineers and kind of change the picking attack and have the amp kind of naturally sag and compress like a tube amp, and change the EQ contour to where it had a certain thickness to it. All these aspects we were able to kind of mess with. I entered it like a challenge. Well, what could we do? With this new technology, where could we go with it? And I was pleasantly surprised that we were able to instill a lot of those aspects in the amp.
The first time we experienced the Blues Cube, it was just out of the box. It was interesting because the clean sound was convincing. The Eric Johnson tone capsule, when applied to the crunch channel, gives you that element that Eric is kind of famous for, that thick violin tone, the gain response and the feel. The reverb is a good sounding reverb. It has a little bit of elements of like a hall sound or maybe a room sound or something.
If it's a reverb that just enhances the sound and doesn't make me aware of it, just enhances it acoustically, then I think it's a really good thing, and that's what it does. That's the effect I would get off a nice old spring reverb from the 60s.
The reverb in the Blues Cube sounds like it belongs in the chord or the note that you're playing. It's part of the sound.
The clean tone, if you turn it up, actually had a nice dirty rhythm tone too. And this amplifier is taking effects really well. Like if I run my tube driver or if I run my fuzz face through it, any particular effects, it seems to be very flattering with effects, which I think is important. It's different than what the world knows as modeling. It's a technology that's kind of going a little bit different way to achieve a little bit better result. It's really being able to tap into that heartbeat of what really makes all these old tube amps special. What Roland is doing with the Blues Cube and with the tone capsule is they're rethinking this thing. The sky's the limit.